And I told my cousin Stephen that was with me, I said, this is a world record.
It was a cold January morning when Dale Lowe, his son, and his cousin set out on Kerr Lake in Virginia to fish the Ice Bowl tournament. Little did Dale know that on that fateful morning, not only would he come face to face with the biggest blue catfish that he's ever caught, but he would lay hands on what could be a new world record. Hey folks, I'm Dealer Melhorn, and thanks for watching. At the 2020 Catfish Conference in Louisville, Kentucky, I sat down with Dale Lowe to talk about the record-breaking catfish he caught. A fish so big that to this day, it's the largest blue catfish ever caught in a catfish tournament.
The fishing was good that day. We was catching right many fish. We had a 40-pounder in the tank. The problem with fishing that day was the wind got really, really bad. I mean, it was like being in the ocean. I had talked to my cousin. He had fished the last few ice bowls with me. He said, you know, let's turn the boat and point it towards the wind because we was anchored up. I love to anchor fish. So we did, you know, to kind of keep the boat from rocking as much. And I said, we're not going to sit here but 10 minutes. I said, we got a fish in the tank that'll put us in the money, and I'm ready to get out of this wind. And it was super cold that day. And as soon as I said that and turned around, I seen the rod going down, and it was game on.
As luck would have it, they weren't anchored up long, and the big fish took the bait.
Well, when I first grabbed the rod and set back on it, he took off. I mean, he just started peeling drag as fast as he could. And I had just re-spooled my reel with slime line the night before. I didn't get it tight in my reel. So since I didn't get it tight in my reel, you know what it started doing. It started digging into itself, and the fish wasn't stopping. And I watched the line just dig down in and lock up. And I was just pointing, trying to go as far as I could to give him all he could, and it didn't break. It held up, and the fish turned. He done that a few times, you know, making long runs, and then once I got him underneath of me, it was pretty much over then. I mean, he'd dig back down. I was only fishing in like 19 foot of water, so he couldn't dig down too far.
Well, after fighting the fish, they knew they had a big fish, but they would be shocked when they actually got a look at it and saw how big it actually was.
I told my cousin, I said, this is a super big fish. I said, I caught a 100-pounder before. I said, it was in current. I said, we're not in current today. I said, this is at least an 80-pounder. I was thinking around 80 pounds until we seen him. When he came up, the first time he come up kind of arched. He was going back down. He was diving. And he took the net, stuck it right under the fish, and he went to swim right down in the net. So we seen this much fish and never seen his head or his tail. As soon as he netted it, he looked at me and said, we just won the tournament.
Well, at this point, they knew they had a big fish. They knew they had a massive fish. They knew they had a tournament winning fish. But getting it into the net was the easy part. Getting it into the boat proved to be a lot harder.
You can't pick a fish that big up and put it in the boat. We rolled him over the side of the boat. We actually used the net to roll him in the boat. And I grabbed him by his bottom jaw. And when I grabbed him by his bottom jaw, and I'm real careful with these fish, I don't want to hurt him. And when I went to pull on him and he didn't move, that's when I realized how big he was. And I told my cousin Stephen that was with me, I said, this is a world record. He's looking at the fish and his eyes are about that big around, and my eyes are this big around, and my son is freaking out, and we started trying to pick him up to put him in the live well.
It wasn't until they got the fish into the boat and they tried to lift it into the live well that they realized just how big the fish was.
We really realized how big he was when we couldn't pick him up off the floor. First thing we did was call for help, and Austin Sarton came, and we put it in his live well, and we went straight to the tournament scales. So basically, we just had to hold that fish in that tank for several hours until we could weigh it.
141. Well, like most tournaments, this tournament was not using certified scales, and to be eligible for a world or state record, the fish needed to be weighed on certified scales. So Dale had one more place he needed to go.
Well, we weighed it at the tournament, and it come out at 141 pounds and 12 ounces. So we knew that it was close to the world record. and the tournament scales were not certified. So we put it back in our live well, and we took it to Bobcat's store, which has certified scales, and it was 141 pounds on his scales.
Well, after getting the fish weighed on certified scales and coming up just a little bit short, there was one more thing that Dale felt he needed to do.
From there, we left and went back to the lake and turned him loose and watched him swim off.
Oh, there you go! Yeah. Woo! Woo! That's what I'm talking about. Leave it away. I wanted to see.
And he didn't waste no time. He was gone. He made a wake when he left.
Well, even after catching a world record class fish and knowing that he would probably never catch a fish bigger than this, Dale remained humble in what he had accomplished.
There's thousands and thousands of people throwing hooks in the water every day, hoping to catch that fish. So for me to catch it, it was pure luck in my opinion. It was just my time.
Now, after catching 2 fish over 100 pounds and nearly breaking the world record, I asked Dale, where does he think the next world record will come from?
Well, there's a lot of big fish being caught in a lot of bodies of water. The top 3 blue cats ever caught all came out of Kerr Lake. I would like to see it come out of Kerr Lake, but you also got Wheeler and the Mississippi River and all them places. I would say it would come out of Kerr Lake again, but I wouldn't overlook Wheeler Lake.
Folks, I salute Dale for what he did, not just for catching the biggest catfish ever caught in a tournament and nearly breaking the world record, but for taking the time to release that fish back into the water alive so that you can go catch it.
As long as he's still alive, he's still out there.
Well, folks, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing, and here are a couple of more videos that I think you're going to like.